Fairly straightforward. I've identified four really different kinds of perforation varieties. One is the obvious shift. This is one of the more dramatic ones I've seen on American stamps. There's a lot of perforation shifts on American stamps. Imperf, of course, we've seen them, especially in some of the older ones. They're actually cataloged. Double perforations, those are pretty hard to find, but they're a little more rare. And the last one is a perforation misalignment, where you see the perfs, obviously something's gone wrong, and it all has to do with comb perforators. And we'll just talk about it, give some examples and show you how that all happens with the comb perforators. So perforation shift, here's a very early issue. It's probably 162 years old, roughly. The old Queen Victoria. Used, it's a pence stamp used in the decimal period. Fairly straightforward, but it's a beautiful. And I guess for defining a perforation shift, I guess maybe the rule is if you can see part of the other stamp, then it's worth to be called a variety. If it's just shifted enough that it's off center, well, then it's just poor centering, not necessarily a shift. But that's just a personal thing. Here's another one. Again, even more special because you basically have everything of the top stamp and quite a bit extra on the. So it's not actually, it's actually a jumbo, if you want to call it, jumbo with perf. No, this is not a small queen. These are the kind. This for me, this is this kind of stuff. Varieties on cover is what gets my blood going. Here's an interesting one.
Wow.
And an admiral again, to see this kind of stuff being used and postmarked. Looks all genuine, really cool stuff.
The edges on that admiral stamp don't look like they're perforated at all. They look like they're just.
It's a coil. Oh, it's a coil stamp. Yeah, oh, you're right. I hadn't even noticed that the coils there, the perfs are running down the middle, and it looks like this was they called it a coil. It's a separate catalog number.
But the perfs are very rough in those areas.
Yes.
Shouldn't be.
Yeah, the perfs are very rough on the outsides.
Yeah, they're not the same as the perfs that you can see down the center.
Oh, they are a different spacing too, for sure.
Looks like one of the experimental coils got screwed up.
Yeah, interesting. I just bought it yesterday. When I saw it, I said, "Oh, that looks cool." I hadn't even noticed that the perfs were different on it. Thank you for pointing that out.
You can almost make that yourself from a coil pair.
It will be interesting to see when I get it. Here's another one. Again, bought about 6 weeks ago. They're all my stuff that I bought in the last. It's been going to Canada. It's not coming down here. Here's an older one I have. This one is in here now. I think it's spectacular. It's upside down too. But this is one from Harold Limburger. This has both the regular and the perforation shift on the same cover. He did a bunch of stuff like that. So I have a bunch of covers that he did that are all very varieties with regulars on the same cover. I mailed it to himself in this case. This is an interesting one because I was stymied when I saw this one. Oh no, it was the next one, the later one. And this is what it's supposed to look like. The Canada is supposed to, it's a dramatic perf shift. Again, on proper cover. This is another one from Harold. He listened to Germany, but he certainly loaded it up with perforation shifts. Another one. This is one of my favorites because that's actually comes from a booklet pane, booklet, I think, an unsevered booklet or something like that. And then another one. This is the goldfinch. These are both from no, the top one isn't a self-adhesive, sorry. The self-adhesives that come in booklets, when you see a perforation shift, you often see a tagging variety, and those are very popular and sold as tagging varieties. 3-bar instead of 4-bar, or single bar instead of 2-bar tagging. Tagging is what is the chemical that's applied so that the sorting machine can detect where on the envelope the stamp is located, because it fluoresces under UV light. Here's one I had to include it only because it was my daughter who sent it to me. She said when I was working in Qatar, she could send me mail to the Houston office, and then it would get put into a courier pouch and get sent over to me in Qatar. And she didn't realize that she had a whole sheet of this. She like me, like reused. Well, by the time I saw it and called her, she had 4 stamps left. So I have a 5 stamps mint left still. But this is a very modern one. Again, I just picked this one up recently. $2.65. I don't even know what year it is yet, but it's very, very recent for a coil. Oh, this is out of order. Well, this was an 8-cent Christmas that I looked at and so wait. Well, okay, we'll get back to that. This is another Admiral. It's got some perforations right down the middle that don't relate at all to the size of the perforations that are on the sides. I haven't studied this one to figure out what went wrong.
Whatever it is was done in a separate operation, that's for sure.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to study that one. This is one of my cool ones. This is a really bizarre, used on cover. Really badly misperf, folded, greased somewhere along the way. I don't know what happened. And this one, I noticed that I was trying to figure out why, if it was a perforation shift, why didn't the Christmas tree star appear at the bottom of the stamp? It should have been there between the Canada and the 8. Was it a missing color? No, it couldn't have been.
Why not?
And then,
Why
well,
not?
because I realized because it's actually this part, it's a Citizen Ampere, and the one below it didn't have that in the star. So when I saw that what you're seeing now in red is what I got, and that's why there's no star in the bottom half. But it had me going for a while. So that one it was a bit funny. This was the same stamp. The red one underneath is the same one that we had up here. So those were 2 on the same sheet, in the same block. Okay, next one here. These are some perforation shifts from the US. They're very common on eBay. These are ones I have bought only just to be able to put them into the presentation. I'm not going to collect them, but there's an awful lot of them, and they're generally less than $10. And I consider them to be pretty dramatic when they're not just a little shift, not just an off-centered, but
Arnie, CK, the stamp company, has been selling these by the hundreds. And he gets beautiful collections. He starts at a penny, so you don't have to pay $10. In fact, I bought a couple for $1 a piece, and they send them to you.
Arnie, is it your impression that modern stamps have many more of these kinds of errors than the older stamps? Are they getting sloppy with their production?
No, I wouldn't say that. The Canadian ones, are rare.
They print the
You don't see
stamps
as many.
in large quantities now too. So
Yeah.
You don't see as many imperf. You still see perf shifts, but you don't see too many modern imperfs. To me, this kind of stuff is cool. And there are some examples to see this stuff used. That is especially cool for me. And something if I was collecting US, I'd look at these perforation shifts and used on covers. There seem to be, certainly they're available. Yeah, here's some imperf cones. This is the second category now. This is a really cool one because I do have a certificate for it, which just says basically it's torn from an uncut booklet page.
The Canadian flag series, in fact, Unitrade had to constantly renumber, if you remember, Arnie, constantly renumber these stamps and then leave room for additional varieties that they were finding, but they're all imperf. So, and I started collecting them a couple of years back. Then I got bored as they kept coming up with new ones. They also got very expensive too, but you can buy them at auction pretty reasonably today. But all these flags, you find them imperf.
This is one that I made. I gave it to the woman who mailed it to Germany and got it back. This is an imperf strip of 3, but it's been cut. I cut it from an uncut press pane, so it's philatelic pure and simple. But it's probably pretty rare to get that used on a nice cover and paying the proper postage rate to Germany. This is this is a really special one. This is an actual Imperf. Well, the coil used, postally used, where somewhere along the way, the perforator decided to stop perfing the coil. And someone bought a coil and found these stamps, still used them. And that's one of my special ones. That to me is really special. Here's another one I think is really special. Another one that's been tough, roughly torn from a sheet. Fairly straightforward. These are coils. These we see fairly rare, especially the 8-cent caricature. There's a lot of Imperf versions of that. So of the 49-cent too. These coils can be available Imperf. Mint Imperf, generally more of the older stuff. That's what I collect. I bought those just along the way. See a lot of the mint Imperf stuff like this. This is an interesting one. It doesn't fit into any of the 4 categories.
Wow.
This is actually a perforated booklet pane, which wasn't supposed to be perforated on the sides. It was supposed to be guillotined. And it's actually listed as a variety. The perforated booklet pane, which was supposed to be have straight edges.
It looks like the right-hand side of that was actually guillotine, but it left just a little bit of perf on it.
Yep.
Huh.
It's very sharp, and the catalog apparently does list guillotine one side or perf one side and perf both sides.
Huh.
But I suspect this is probably a pretty unique booklet used on a parcel. That's why you can tell you the parcel cancel on it. So somebody needed $3.80 worth of postage and used the whole booklet. Mint coils, again, here's the 3 different versions I've got of first of a double perforation on the left, the Imperf on the bottom, and a perf shift on the right. The coils, I guess, are the problem. We probably see more varieties with the coils than the Kamems. Miscut coils. Now, these are miscut. Some people call them misperf, but they're not actually, there's no perforation flaw in them. But I've included them in the presentation, this one and this one. They're pretty common, actually, where the coils have just been miscut. And so you see, but they're not really a misperf item. They shouldn't be in the presentation, but I put them in anyway. This is the final group. This is the perforation misalignment. And it only happens with the comb perforators. We talked about them in the past. The perfs match up correctly in the corner. What I didn't know until this past week, there's these 2 issues, number 599 in Canada and 600, printed by different printers. And maybe my scan shows that they are a different, if you know what you're looking for, you can tell which is which. But it's really easy now just to look at the perforations and you can tell which is 599 and which is 600. If the perfs line up, it's 599. If it's not, it's 600. And the 2 different printing companies did it. We'll look at it a little more in detail here, the perforation, how that manifests itself as an error. So we talked about these pins, and this is the actual schematic of what the pins would have been looked like for this last, for the next issue coming up. By highlighting, there were 10 black perfs between the white perfs are the corners. There were 10 horizontal perfs between the whites, and there were 7 red perfs going up and 7 perfs coming down on this comb perforator. So that's exactly what it looked like, because we can tell what it looked like. And then when we see this, when it's shifted and the stamps are fed in, what we'll see characteristically is perfs being when there was a misfeeding of the paper. It's a paper that moves, not the perforator. And we see something here. We see it too close here and it's too far apart here. And so this is the 7 pins above and 7 pins above and 7 pins below and the 10 pins in between. And when we look at the actual stamp, this is what we see. The full pane, full strip across, we'll see perforations that are too close at the top and perforations that are far apart on the bottom. And that's what it looks like. And so those are varieties. I think I just learned about them. I think they're cool. Now I have to start finding them on used copies. there was a blog I read about in Canadian Philately that said this particular issue, and that issue includes the $1 stamps that I started this part with, was the first issue by British American Banknote to use comb perforators. So they were going through a bit of a learning curve on this issue. And there's a lot, I've quite a few others on it. Here's another example. I don't know who the printer was for this because I haven't got a catalog. It came fairly, the others we were talking about were in the 599, 600, 500, 590, 590 to 600 numbers roughly. So this was fairly soon. If it was, oh yeah, it says this was banknote. Oh, this is Canadian banknote, not BABN. So here again, a minor perf shift. So you can calculate the pins on this one. And it had maybe 8 or 9 or 9 on each side of the center pin. And that's a block of 4. And that's the end of the presentation. I include this slide because I thought that's cool. Somebody actually found 4 of these. And so I bought them. I think they're cool. And that's the end.